Before you book that dream vacation, before you step onto that plane, before you even think about packing your bags, there's something you need to know. Every year, thousands of seniors find themselves stranded in foreign countries, stuck in hospital beds, or facing thousands of dollars in unexpected bills simply because they weren't prepared. Some never make it home. You've spent your whole life looking forward to retirement, to finally seeing the world, to making memories with loved ones. But what if I told you that one simple mistake, one overlooked detail, could turn that dream trip into a nightmare? A flight that seems perfectly routine could put you at serious risk. A deal that looks too good to be true probably is. And the most dangerous mistake? It's the one most seniors don't even think about until it's too late. We're uncovering the 5 hidden dangers of traveling after 70 that no one warns you about. These aren't just minor inconveniences. These are risks that could cost you your health, your safety, and your financial security. Stay with me because what you learn could mean the difference between the trip of a lifetime and the biggest regret of your life. 1. Increased risk of blood clots on long flights. Let's start with something most people never think about until it's too late. You board your flight, settle into your seat, maybe flip through a magazine or watch a movie. Hours pass. Your legs feel a little stiff, maybe even swollen. You assume it's just part of flying until you land and something feels off. Your calf is throbbing, the skin feels warm, and by the time you realize what's happening, the situation is far more serious than you ever imagined. Deep vein thrombosis. DVT. It sounds complicated, but the truth is simple. Sitting for long hours without movement can cause a blood clot to form in your legs. If that clot breaks loose and travels to your lungs, it can cause a pulmonary embolism, a life-threatening condition that can strike without warning. Now, you might be thinking, I take flights all the time. I've never had a problem. But here's the reality. As we age, circulation slows, and our blood thickens. That means flights that felt easy in your 50s or 60s might be putting you at risk in ways they never did before. And the scariest part? You might not even notice the symptoms until it's too late. Let me tell you about Linda. She was 72, healthy, active, excited for her long-awaited trip to Paris. A 10-hour flight was nothing to her. She had flown internationally dozens of times. She settled in, read a book, took a short nap. But she didn't move much. She figured she'd stretch when she landed. By the time she got to her hotel, her right leg was swollen and aching. She brushed it off. Maybe she was just tired from the flight. But overnight, the pain became unbearable. She could barely put weight on it. A trip to the emergency room confirmed it. She had developed a serious blood clot, one that could have been fatal if it had moved to her lungs. She spent the first week of her dream vacation in a hospital bed, hooked up to blood thinners, praying it didn't get worse. Here's the good news. DVT is preventable. You don't have to end up like Linda. The solution. Simple steps that could save your life. First, compression socks. They're not just for hospitals. These specially designed socks help keep blood flowing, reducing the risk of clot formation. Put them on before your flight, and keep them on until you've had a chance to move around at your destination. Second, movement is key. Don't sit still for the entire flight. Every 2 hours at minimum, get up, walk the aisle, stretch your legs. Even small movements like flexing your feet or rotating your ankles can help keep circulation going. And finally, stay hydrated. Dehydration thickens the blood, making clots more likely. Skip the alcohol, limit the caffeine, and drink plenty of water before and during your flight. Your body and your future self will thank you. Now, you might be wondering, is this really that common? Does this really happen to a lot of people? Here's something chilling. Studies show that 1 in 4 long-haul travelers over 60 is at risk for developing a travel-related clot. And many won't know it until it becomes a serious medical emergency. So before you take off on your next adventure, ask yourself, is this the flight where you finally take this risk seriously? Or will you wait until you become another cautionary tale? Now, that's just one danger. 2. Travel scams targeting seniors. Travel scams targeting seniors are more common than you think. Why? Because scammers see older travelers as easy targets, trusting, less familiar with online booking red flags, and often carrying larger sums of money. And they're not just lurking online. They're waiting at airports, disguising themselves as friendly locals and even posing as hotel staff. Take what happened to George and Elaine. A retired couple in their late 70s, they wanted one last big trip together, somewhere warm, relaxing, and away from the crowds. They found a rental home in the Florida Keys listed on a well-known vacation site. The owner, Mark, seemed genuine. He even called them personally to reassure them that it was a safe deal. He asked them to wire the payment directly, just a standard procedure to avoid extra booking fees. They arrived at the address only to find another family living there who had owned the home for years and had never listed it for rent. George and Elaine lost $3,200. Worse, they had nowhere to stay. They spent their first night sleeping in their rental car while scrambling to find another place. Scammers know exactly how to build trust. They use urgency, this deal won't last, you need to book now. They play on emotions. I'm renting out my late mother's home. I just want good people to enjoy it. And they always have a reason why their deal is different from everything else online. So how do you protect yourself? First, book through reputable travel websites. Sites like Airbnb, VRBO, and Booking.com have secure payment systems that protect buyers. Never agree to pay through wire transfers, gift cards, or direct bank deposits. Once that money is gone, it's nearly impossible to recover. Second, verify the property. Before sending any payment, reverse image search the listing's photos. If the same images appear on multiple listings or unrelated websites, it's a red flag. Also, call the official rental agency or hotel directly. Never rely on the contact information provided by a third party. Third, be skeptical of deals that seem too good to be true. A luxury beachfront villa at half the price of every other listing? A last-minute cancellation deal that requires immediate payment? If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. And scams don't just stop at rentals. Fake taxi drivers at airports, friendly locals who offer to help with your bags, and then demand payment, counterfeit tour guides selling fake tickets. It happens every single day, in almost every major travel destination. Here's a simple rule to remember. If someone pressures you to make a quick decision with your money, stop, take a breath, double check. Because the moment you rush, the moment you act on impulse, that's the moment scammers win. And if you think losing money is bad, wait until you hear about the next hidden danger. This one could leave you stranded in a foreign country, unable to get home. 3 medication and healthcare challenges abroad. Imagine this, you're halfway through the trip of a lifetime, enjoying a beautiful evening in a foreign city. Then you reach into your bag for your medication and realize you're out. Your heart drops. You were sure you packed enough, but somewhere between time zone changes and busy travel days, you miscalculated. No problem, right? Just refill it at a local pharmacy. Except when you walk into the nearest drugstore, the pharmacist shakes their head. They don't carry that medication. Worse, it's actually restricted in this country. You try explaining that you have a prescription, but without the right documents, sometimes even a local doctor's approval, they won't give it to you. Now you're in an unfamiliar place, your health at risk, and you don't know what to do next. This isn't just a rare nightmare scenario, it happens more often than you think. Many common medications in the US are heavily regulated or even banned in other countries. Painkillers, sleep aids, some antidepressants, and even certain blood pressure medications may require special permission to bring in, or they may not be available at all. If you run out, replacing them could be a frustrating, expensive, or even impossible process. Let's talk about Richard. He was 74, in good health but managing high blood pressure with a medication he had taken for years. He was on a cruise through Southeast Asia when he realized he didn't have enough pills to last the trip. No big deal, he figured he'd visit a local pharmacy in Thailand. But when he got there, he was told his medication was a controlled substance and unavailable without special approval. His only option? Find a doctor, get a new prescription, and hope it would be accepted. By the time he found a clinic, his blood pressure had already spiked dangerously high. The stress and delay nearly sent him to the emergency room. So how do you avoid this? Plan ahead, far ahead. First, bring more medication than you think you'll need. If you're going on a 2-week trip, bring enough for a month. Unexpected delays, lost luggage, or misplaced pills happen more often than you'd expect. Keep all medications in their original prescription bottles with your name clearly visible to avoid issues at customs. Second, research medication restrictions before you travel. Some countries require special documentation to bring in certain drugs, even common ones. The U.S. State Department and foreign embassies often have updated lists of restricted medications. Third, get travel insurance with medical coverage. If you suddenly need to see a doctor abroad, the last thing you want is to pay thousands out of pocket for an emergency visit. Look for a policy that covers urgent medical care, prescriptions, and even medical evacuation if necessary. And here's something most people forget: bring a copy of your prescriptions. If you run out of medication, having a written prescription from your doctor, including the generic name, not just the brand name, can make it easier to get a refill overseas. Healthcare emergencies are stressful enough at home where you know how the system works. But abroad? They can be terrifying. And if you think this is the worst thing that could happen on a trip, just wait, because the next danger on our list? It's one that has left seniors stranded, broke, and completely helpless in a foreign country. 4. Increased risk of falls and injuries. Falls are one of the leading causes of injury for seniors, and traveling only increases the risks. Unfamiliar surroundings, slippery hotel bathrooms, uneven sidewalks, poorly lit staircases, and even something as simple as rushing to catch a flight can lead to a dangerous fall. And for older travelers, a single misstep can result in fractures, head injuries, or even long-term mobility issues. It happened to Margaret, 76 years old, on a dream vacation to Rome. She and her husband were staying in a boutique hotel with a stunning marble bathroom. On their second night, she stepped out of the shower onto a wet, glossy floor. Her foot slid forward and she landed hard on her side. The pain was instant. A fractured hip. Instead of sightseeing, she spent the next 8 days in an Italian hospital, struggling to communicate with doctors who barely spoke English. Her insurance didn't fully cover the costs, and her husband had to figure out how to arrange an emergency medical flight home. What was meant to be the trip of a lifetime turned into a nightmare of stress, pain, and thousands of dollars in medical bills. Falls aren't just an inconvenience, they can be trip-ending, life-altering events. But there are ways to protect yourself. First, choose accommodations wisely. Before booking, look for hotels or rentals with senior-friendly amenities. Rooms on the ground floor, elevators, bathroom grab bars, non-slip flooring, and well-lit hallways. If you have balance issues, avoid places with steep stairs or uneven surfaces. Second, wear the right footwear. Style is great, but on vacation, support and grip matter more than anything. Invest in shoes with non-slip soles, especially if you'll be walking on cobblestone streets, tile floors, or wet surfaces. Third, stay aware of your surroundings. Airports, busy streets, and tourist attractions can be crowded and chaotic. Take your time. Use handrails when available. And if you're walking at night, carry a small flashlight or use your phone's light to see where you're stepping. And one more thing, never ignore a minor fall. If you trip, even if you think you're fine, check for pain or swelling. Some injuries don't show up immediately, and untreated fractures or sprains can worsen over time. The bottom line? One moment of carelessness, one unexpected slip, can derail your entire trip. And while falls are serious, the next hidden danger on our list. It's something that could leave you stranded with no way to get home, and it's a mistake far too many senior travelers make. 5. Lack of a proper medical plan. Picture this: you're sitting at a beautiful seaside cafe, enjoying the warm breeze and a fresh cup of coffee. Everything feels perfect until it doesn't. A sudden tightness in your chest. Shortness of breath. A wave of dizziness. You try to shake it off, but the feeling only gets worse. Within minutes, you're being rushed to the nearest hospital in a foreign country where the doctors are speaking a language you barely understand. Hours later, you're stable. But then comes the real shock: a hospital bill for $50,000. And because you didn't have the right travel insurance, you're expected to pay it out of pocket. This isn't just a scary story, it's a harsh reality for thousands of senior travelers every year. Many assume their regular health insurance will cover emergencies abroad. But in most cases, it doesn't. Medicare, for example, does not cover medical expenses outside the US unless you have a specific supplemental plan. If you need emergency care in another country, you could be fully responsible for the cost, and hospitals overseas don't always accept payment plans. Let's talk about George, a 78-year-old retiree who took a long-awaited trip to Thailand. A few days into his vacation, he suffered a mild heart attack. He was rushed to a private hospital, treated, and stabilized, but the hospital required immediate payment before discharging him. The total? Over $45,000. His family scrambled to arrange a wire transfer, but without the money up front, the hospital refused to release him. It was a nightmare. So, how do you avoid this kind of disaster? Have a proper medical plan in place before you travel. First, never leave home without comprehensive travel insurance. Look for a policy that covers emergency hospital stays, ambulance services, prescriptions, and even medical evacuation if you need to be flown back home for treatment. A good policy might cost a couple of $100s, but compared to a six-figure medical bill, it's a small price to pay. Second, know where to go in case of an emergency. Before you travel, research the best hospitals and urgent care centers in your destination. Some countries have world-class private hospitals, while others may have limited healthcare options. Make a list of emergency contacts, including the local U.S. Embassy and nearby medical facilities. Third, always carry a list of your medical conditions, allergies, and prescriptions. If something happens, doctors need to know your medical history, especially if you're unable to communicate. Consider carrying a medical ID bracelet or a simple printed card with all your essential health information. And here's one more important thing. If you have a serious health condition, talk to your doctor before you travel. Make sure you're fit to fly, especially for long-haul trips. A simple checkup beforehand could prevent a life-threatening emergency later. The truth is, no one plans for a medical crisis while traveling. But without preparation, a dream vacation can turn into a financial and emotional nightmare. And now that you know the biggest risks, you can travel smarter, safer, and with peace of mind. Before you go, tell me which of these dangers surprised you the most. Drop a comment below, I'd love to hear your thoughts. And if you found this helpful, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more essential senior tips.